Do it.
Cinnamon recording. Episode
59.
That's right.
Which is not as exciting as it will be 10 episodes from now.
Nice. In which it will be a fun, I'm sure, joke-filled episode.
We'll come up with something stupid.
I'm sure we will. Best sex scenes. What's your top three? Number one.
All of them. All of them. They're all good.
Do you contribute to, have you seen this discourse on the onlines about people saying sex scenes are completely unnecessary and all need to be removed from movies?
I have, in fact, seen that discourse, and I think that people will find anything to get aggravated by, whether it's there's no purpose for them or there's always purpose for them. Everybody got opinions and everybody got assholes too, but that doesn't mean you need to show them off all the time. So
unless it's in a sex scene.
But in all seriousness, I think a sex scene is like anything else. Does it enhance the story? Sex scenes to me are also like fight scenes. They need to carry the characters forward in some direction. Mm-hmm. Is it useful in some way? If it does, great, awesome. If it doesn't, okay, naked. So I mean, like win-win. You know.
You know, I like the way you think, sir. We're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about.
Damn it!
Stage play adaptation.
Now I've got National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon. What are you doing? Oh, I just wanted to go for a butt and moonlight walk. Emilio Estevez.
Yes, in one of his finest roles to date. Loaded Weapon.
I love how you go to say that and then just try to swig and can't do it.
We're here to talk about stage play adaptations, but before we get to that, man, it's been a couple weeks since we last did an episode of the Cinnamon. Will you enlighten the people on some of the movies that you have seen recently, please?
As we were talking before we began recording, I've seen quite a few films, most of which are actually for FYC purposes. And there are a lot of them that you have already. So we've already heard you, in particular, with the majority of these, wax poetic on them. So, for example, I finally got to see Pig. And holy hell, what an amazing movie that was. I've already got it on my saved list on Best Buy. I've got a gift card. So I'm just going to wait till it gets to a really good price and then just snag that. Because, yes, I have a screener, but it's a beautiful movie. Like it's not just a beautiful movie from a narrative perspective in a lot of different ways. So many people compared it to John Wick. I was about to say Keanu. That's a completely different movie with an animal. It's a cat movie.
Yes, it's a cat movie.
But so many people thought it would be like John Wick, and with the premise of it that Nick Cage plays a man living in isolation who is attacked in the middle of the night and has his pig stolen, and therefore he goes on a journey to find his pig. I want my pig back. One thinks it's going to be a John Wick type of movie. It's not.
No.
And in fact, the confrontation, if you will call it that happens in the film is so not anticlimactic at all. It's incredibly tense and barely a word is uttered. But it is so sweet and human. And speaking of the connection of food and memory and community. So that was absolutely amazing. I got to see No Time to Die, which I have mixed feelings on at the moment. And the reason why I have mixed feelings on it is because the day before, I think it was the day before I got the screener, some people were like, let me share some photos from the movie and talk about why this was so poignant. It has been available on VOD for like days. Motherfucker, I lasted over a month. It was 2 months.
You hate to see it.
Really did, actually, because since I knew this one thing, I was able to piece together, okay, so that's what this is. And then I could see all the foreshadowing that was leading up to it. And then I could figure out where the film was going to go well before we got there. Had I not seen this other bit, I wouldn't have pieced it together. Or if I had, I wouldn't have pieced it together as quickly. But it is certainly a fantastic final outing for Daniel Craig. And personally, and no bullshit I said online, I now need to go watch Knives Out. I didn't get to finish it in one fell swoop, but I had so much fun watching Ana de Armas in just this brief sequence with Daniel Craig. They have so much fucking fun together that I had to go back and rewatch Knives Out. But it's a lovely send-off, and I'm hoping to cover it in a home release review so that I can take a look at some of the bonus features for it to really see some of the thought process. I do have a question for you, though.
Yes, James Bond will return.
Yes, yeah, they made that plain at the end of the credits. Do you think Saffron is intended to be Dr. No? And they just, after what happened with Spectre, they decided we're going to do it, but we're not going to say he's Dr. No, because he's living on an island off the coast of Japan. He has his hand removed by Bond in their final fight. Do you think he's Dr. No, more or less? Don't think so.
No, not at all. Not at all. I know people were speculating in the lead up, and then they're speculating on the next lead up, and then they're speculating on the next lead up, and then the movie was finally released. And no. And I was part of the speculation gang. I'd be like, that'd be pretty cool if that's what they're hiding from us. But no, now that I've seen the movie, no. And he's got all the same weird, Bond villain quirks. Half of them live off the island of something, anyways. So I think that. So yeah, no, maybe a little nod too, but not quite.
I did like for the locations and things how this was sort of a callback to the other films in a variety of different ways. Going to Italy, going back to, I forget if it was the Caribbean or Cuba, but just these little references to where it began for him with his first mission in Casino Royale and just tying up those loose ends. It was a lovely little film. Speaking of lovely films, I got to see Edson Oda's 9 Days.
Hey, there you go.
What a beautiful movie.
Yeah, right.
And the fact that it doesn't at all go, I hate to use this phrase mostly because I was just listening to some songs from the movie Vivo, but it beats to its own drum. It absolutely beats to its own drum. You might think that it should go in a direction and it opts for something else. It is an incredibly human film. And I'm going to lend you a movie called Afterlife that I saw, I believe, earlier this year. With 9 Days, those of you that don't know, it involves a man who his job is to select souls to pass on to become human.
Right.
And so not everybody gets selected. And when they don't, they're not exactly alive. So they don't exactly die. They just cease to be. And it's got some phenomenal performances in this cast. Bill Skarsgård, Tony Hale, Zazie Beetz, who's great. Benedict Wong is really wonderful. But Winston Duke, he is devastating, particularly by the end of this.
Yeah, man. When he finally kind of lets loose, it's worthwhile.
Absolutely. I mean, everything leading up to that too was worthwhile. But it's a film that it had a limited release last year, so in 2020. So it had been put up for a bunch of awards in different categories, and Sony, recognizing that not everybody got to see it and it was formally released this year, is taking advantage of the fact that not all the critics groups included it in 2021. So Winston Duke needs to be considered this year. But being very, very brief up to this point, I would recommend, if you're looking for something fun, there's a movie called The Fable. It's an action comedy, sort of, on Netflix from 2019. Its sequel, The Fable, The Man Who Can't Kill, is also on Netflix. I haven't watched that yet. Premise is that a very, very well-regarded hitman is told by his boss to take a year off, and he's not allowed to kill anyone. If he does, the boss will kill him.
Okay.
And like, okay, we're going to put you and your partner up. We've made some arrangements. You're going to be put up. Won't have to worry about anything, but live a normal life. So, do whatever would be normal. So he gets a job and whatever else. And one thing leads to another, and he ends up getting into a situation where he has to use his particular set of skills, but he can't kill anyone. And so the way that they get around that and do everything else is really, really clever and inventive. And I've heard that The Fable 2 is even better. So if you're looking for something kind of fun to watch, I recommend that. It's up on Netflix. And two more things I'll mention: Belle and King Richard. Belle is the Mamoru Hosoda's new animated film. He did Mirai and The Girl Who Fell Through Time, I think was the name of it. This has a festival release now. It's getting a limited release in January. Holy shit, is it amazing. It I saw it for FYC purposes. It will absolutely be it is one of my favorite animated films this year. It broke me by the end.
Okay.
The premise of it is that there's a 17-year-old girl who is sort of isolated and alone due to a trauma that happened in her life, death of her mother. And she ends up joining this virtual world called Us, if I remember correctly. Excuse me, You is what it's called, You. And she joins this thing, and her avatar is basically whatever she wants it to be, and she ends up refining her voice as a singer in this world and becomes a pop star. But it's not about her having a duality of identity at all. And because of the name Belle, it brings about sort of a Beauty and the Beast connection. And there is one, but it's not in the way that you think. It's not a romance in the sense of Beauty will fall in love with and therefore save the beast. It is very, very different from that. And if you've seen one of his earlier films, Summer Wars, it does, and I think Michael Reyes mentioned that in the podcast we did with him, in the episode we did. I went and checked out Summer Wars. It is phenomenal as well. So if you've seen that, you'll see some similarity here, but it's very, very different. And I mentioned another film, and my brain just stopped, and I can't remember. Did I say King Richard? Is that the other one that I mentioned? Okay, I've watched that yesterday. It's impressive. I'm not too keen on Will Smith's performance because it seemed like his accent came and went, but his embodiment of Richard Williams was incredible. I mean, just when you see footage of the real Richard Williams and how he embodied that is really wonderful. And all the criticism that the film isn't about Venus and Serena, well, it's called King Richard.
How dare they?
Exactly. And it's just as much their story as it is his, but it's his story and how he helped more or less guide them to this thing. So those are films that I've seen recently that I would most certainly recommend.
Excellent. I got 3 to check out, man. I saw Spencer a couple days ago. Let me make sure I get this dude's name right. Pablo Larraín. There's that, the Kristen Stewart princess died because the world is still, all these decades later, obsessed with that woman. This is just the latest incarnation. A psychological drama is what they're calling it. A fictionalized version of a Christmas weekend with the royal family, Princess Diana's Christmas weekend. This is after they've become estranged from each other, the rumors of the infidelity of Prince Chuck and old girl. And it's pretty much a weekend of someone who doesn't want to fucking spend Christmas with the in-laws. It's what it is. But you gotta to A, keep appearances, and B, because your sons are there. So it's just Princess Die in the Horrible Weekend is the subtitle.
It's a hell of a title.
It is. Kristen Stewart, man, she turns in a pretty good performance. I'm not sure what she was doing with that accent there. Everything was very breathy. Oh, but I couldn't. Oh, but there's no way I could do that possibly. Is what I heard all throughout this movie. Come, William. But it's a good movie. Like I said in my review, Lorraine knows how they make a good movie, maybe not tell a great story, though. He didn't write the screenplay, he just directed it, though. Stephen Knight, who has done all sorts of things, wrote the screenplay for this, but technically incredibly sound. The production design is deliciously good. The cinematography is gorgeous. The hair and makeup is outstanding. From a technical perspective, there are very few finer movies that came out this year.
Interesting.
So even if the story is a little bit weak itself, it is saved if you are a fan of kind of the technical production of things. If you're just in it for the ride of the story, that can get a little bit interesting at times. The second half kind of drags on a little bit because after a while you're like, we get it, you don't want to be there. But they just keep hammering that fact over and over and over. And after a while, you're like, all right, let's get to the next part of this story if we possibly could. And when they do, it turns from a drama to a little bit of a horror in there as well. Like things not like your traditional like jump scares nonsense, more like psychological horror, I guess is the best way of putting it. She's just so deep in her own head that she's almost completely checked out, and that in itself is absolutely frightening to see. But yeah, she'll get nominated for all the awards, and the nominations are deserved. Uh, but yeah, damn fine made movie. I'll give it that.
I still need to see it.
Yeah. Go ahead and check that out, sir. Let me know what you think about it when you do. I'd be interested to see what you think about that. I saw Belfast.
Ooh, still need to see
I finished it about 15 minutes before we started this show. Written and directed by Kenneth Branagh, and I haven't seen a whole lot of Branagh's work. I've seen.
What?
I'm
See, if I
cutting
sing
all
it,
that
we'll
out.
get in trouble.
We're not
Jamie
big
Dornan's
enough for
second best
anybody to
song of
care
this
about.
year.
Okay. All right.
Edgar's Prayer being the first.
Fair enough. Looking at Branagh's resume here, I've seen a decent amount more than I thought I had of Kenneth Branagh. This by far is the best movie I've ever seen of his. Far and away. Had night and day between the other work I've seen him do. It's definitely not 4, I'll tell you that right now. But yeah, it's Belfast, man. So the story of the kind of autobiographical of a working class Northern Irish family during the religious troubles they were having back in the days between the Catholics and the Protestants, and things are getting more and more ramped up, and it's just about this family who's just they're poor. I mean, they call them working class in the description here, but no, they're poor, and the struggles of do we stay in Belfast because Belfast is all we know, or do we, for the sake of our futures and the futures of our children, get out of here before things get really bad? And I'm assuming this is about the time that Branagh came up, considering it is semi-autobiographical, but it is kind of like just his love letter to the city of Belfast, man. And you can tell that in all the shots and all the frames that he put his angles into this movie. It is absolutely wonderful. And it gets you a little bit emotional by the end. All the lead actors are putting in great work. I'm not a huge Jamie Dornan fan, but this movie, I was like, oh, Jamie Dornan is great in this movie. Kieran Hines is all sorts of great work. Judi Dench is also, with a limited amount of screen time, she's great with what she's got. Jude Hill as our main character that we follow, the little kid, absolutely brilliant in the movie. It is one that I would suggest you put to the top of your FYC pile, far above Spencer if you can.
I was supposed to have watched it this weekend, and things went this way.
Dude.
And when a lot of your FYC pile is almost 3 hours long per movie, Jesus Christ, guys.
97 minutes, by the way.
Oh, no, I saw that. That's one of the reasons I was going to check it out, because I was trying to fit a bunch of stuff in during the day, but my day went sideways and I had to make sure I could do No Time to Die.
I've bought a ticket to Belfast 3 times and was not able to make any one of those 3. So anyone tracking my AMC app is like, this guy really fucking loves Kenneth Branagh. Nope. First time went to the wrong theater, and then the other 2 times stuff just got in the way. But I'm so glad they're able to email us a link. And yeah, that one I was like, I'm making time for this shit.
I really wanted to see that.
Third movie, man. I hesitate to call it a movie. It was more of an experience, and not in that pretentious, it was an experience type of way. I saw The Beach, the A24, The Beach, man. And it's I don't know what the fuck I saw, but I loved it.
You described it as mesmerizing?
It is, bro. It is mesmerizing. The filmmaker Warwick Thornton was the only person in the entire thing. He's kind of at like a real life, not like the story of the movie, like at a crossroads, and he decided to just live alone, isolated on a beach for some indiscriminate amount of time. I don't remember what the time frame was, and it's just that's it. It's you're just living with this dude on the beach, and he's also a renowned chef, I do believe. So a lot of it is him just using the items at hand to make all these fairly good-looking meals with what he has on hand, and he occasionally just kind of talks to the camera and just relays stories of his life. And the dude is just oddly fascinating. And like there's some chickens on the island with him. So sometimes he's just conversating with the chickens in a one-sided conversation. And it's just like, this is the weirdest dude I've seen in a while. But he's fascinating. And the cinematography on it, because that island is beautiful. And they got all the great shots, a couple of great drone shots of that white sand goes straight into the blue water. And it's maybe a hour and some change of just this dude. Like you see him arrive to the beach. He's got this little lean-to that's already set up for him. He's got like all this like stoneware, and he's grinding up like all the stuff that he's gonna put in his food, like the pumice stone and all that kind of good stuff. And you just kind of follow this dude as he just does his thing. And A24 looped it for I think a week. So
okay, so it has a runtime, but then it just starts over.
Yes. And okay, you don't get to pick, you don't just get to log in and hit play. Wherever you come in right there. And you just follow it out.
Very traditional in the old theatrical way of doing things.
Yeah. It was weird, man. And I think it's gone today as of the time of this recording. And I don't think they ever plan on releasing any kind of physical copy of it or stream it anywhere else. And the world is lesser for it because I thought it was amazing.
Cool. Well, that's sad.
Yeah. Matter of fact, after this, I'm gonna make sure I can't sneak in one last joint before. I think today's the last day. I'm not sure if it ends today or it ended at midnight this morning, but
gotcha.
Either way, I'm gonna see if I can check out one last joint.
Well, then I will keep my fingers crossed for you that you can.
Thank you. But now that you heard all that, man, let's get into today's topic.
Yeah.
And what is today's topic, sir?
Today we're talking about play adaptations. So when we talk about play adaptations, we mean anything that was a play first before becoming a movie. So we're talking about In the Heights, Biloxi Blues, Cabaret, Chicago, Dear Evan Hansen, A Few Good Men, God of Carnage, Hairspray, Hedwig and the Angry Inch, Harvey, and Annie. So really anything at all that was originally a play and was then adapted. We are just going to discuss our three of our favorites, because there's a lot of them. And honestly, some of them, trying to narrow down favorites can be hard. So right now, these are going to be three of our favorites. Would you like to go first?
Go for it, sir.
Okay. Well, my first one, this one is actually in an order. Okay.
Doug coming with some kind of semblance of order.
Yeah, I usually don't do that with my lists. But with this first one, and we're not going to discuss it too much because it will be coming up later in this discussion, but I could not talk about play adaptations without talking about William Shakespeare. Shakespeare, for those of you that aren't aware, I am William Shakespeare. I am not William Shakespeare. Sorry.
His name was William Shakespeare.
No, when before I went to undergrad, I wanted to be an English teacher. And for fun, way back when I had time, because I didn't have a family and children and adult responsibilities, I would read all the time. And my favorite thing to do was to actually read plays. I used to read them for fun. I'd go with my brothers when they'd go look at colleges, go to the bookstore and see what the college kids were reading and get some of those books. But I always gravitated towards William Shakespeare. And when I started undergrad, I started in that focus of I'm going to study literature. And then sometime within my first year, I went, you know what? I love doing this, but they've got courses on cinema, and that's more fun for me to discuss. I really like that. And I ended up taking a course on interpretations of literature through cinema. And around that time, if I remember correctly, is when Julie Taymor's Titus came out. And we read the play. If you're not familiar with Titus Andronicus, it is William Shakespeare's most violent play, period. Just fucking period. It is agonizing from beginning to end. It is glorious in some respects, but it is incredibly fucked up. And Julie Taymor's adaptation of this, I believe by this point in her career, she had already done the Lion King on Broadway. So the version that became just joyously beloved by everyone around the world, that was her. And she brought that same visionary style of, I'm actually going to take the audience and put them in a playhouse, really, really works here. And so I have to mention, it is currently out of print. I have a DVD.
Ooh.
I have a DVD, and I will be cherishing that for a while.
Off HBO Max, by the way.
Oh, it is on HBO Max.
Off HBO Max.
Oh, it's off of HBO Max.
So when you challenged me 2 weeks ago,
yeah,
it was there. And in that 2 week span, it came off.
Oh, no.
Yeah, bunch of dicks.
I wish I'd known. I would have gotten you the discs.
I got Criterion, baby.
Oh, that's right. It's streaming over there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
$9.99 people, Criterion channel.
if you're remotely curious about that, by the time we're done with this episode, go check it out. I definitely recommend it. We'll see what Daryl thinks in a little bit, but that's my first one, is Titus.
All right. My first one is a bit of a cheat, so I will get this one out of the way first. Based on an unpublished play, which I did not realize until I was doing research for this, Moonlight.
Interesting.
Yes. Okay. In Moonlight, Black Boys Look Blue is the full title there. Trevante Rhodes, I think it's like the film that really put Mahershala Ali on the map for us. Andre Holland is what put him on the map for me. Naomi Harris, absolutely rocking the spot there. The thing that I hate about Moonlight is it will be forever known as the film that stole Best Picture away from La La Land.
Stole,
quote unquote, Best Picture. Thanks a lot, Warren fucking Beatty. Stole from La La Land. And it kind of seems to be like what people talk about when they talk about Moonlight now, and not in and of its own respects is what a beautiful movie this is. Moonlight currently sits at number 3 on my list of A24 movies. It is absolutely, it's just a look at this kid's life at 3 different stages: at the kid stage, at a formative teen stage, and then as an adult in Miami, which is like one of cocaine capitals of the world, right? So and just kind of the influences on his life as he grows up. Mahershala Ali, we know, is not a good man in this movie. He is a drug dealer. But he does take a soft spot for.
He plays Chiron. A drug dealer. He plays. You don't want to get accused of slander.
Yeah, you'll see it on Screen Rant tomorrow, tweeting it out. He plays a drug dealer. A horrible influence should be, but he kind of takes him under his wing and shows him what life is about. And then, he is the horribleness that he has to do with his mother being a crack addict and how that's affected his life. And then him as a full-grown man, if I remember correctly, he has himself become a drug dealer. And also there's a huge undertone, well, not undertone, it becomes very blatant towards the end of homosexuality, and how that's never really quite positively addressed in the African-American community. That's one of the things that this movie touches on very sincerely and very dearly. And that's why I will forever love Andre Holland, is because of his role in this movie. It is a chock full of emotion. It is, I still think, the best Barry Jenkins work has ever done. It looks beautiful. There is a silhouette picture of young Chiron at night, silhouetted standing on the beach. That is my background wallpaper on my computer at work, because I love that shot so much. It is one of my favorite shots in all of cinema. And for all of you who have not watched Moonlight, it is more than just the movie that beat La La Land. It beat La La Land fair and square for good purpose, because it is an incredible human story.
2 things. One, of the stuff I've seen of his, my favorite is Beale Street Could Talk.
That's 2 years ago.
2018, and it was
3 years ago.
2 years after Moonlight.
Mhm.
But because I was wondering about this, when you said that it was a cheat, that it was an unpublished play, not arguing that part, it won Best Adapted Screenplay. So as far as I'm concerned, it won the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay. I say, in the vernacular of Ocean's 13, the nose plays.
The nose plays.
Nose
I
plays.
haven't heard that phrase in forever.
Crystal and I say that shit to each other all the time. The nose plays.
God, I love Matt Damon's progression in those movies.
So fucking good.
Do you have what it was up against? Do you have that on the screen?
I did not.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I don't mind. You wanna know the deets? Let's find out. Well, that's not a good article. That's not a good article. Hold on, real quick. IMDb. We're gonna use up your time to look at this and find out what it was up against.
Hence why I said don't worry about it.
Yeah, but it should have been easy. Yeah, that's not gonna be. It'll take too long. So yeah, there you go.
There you go. There you go.
Good pick. Good pick.
I can tell you right now, Best Adapted Screenplay, it was up against, where are you, Adapted Screenplay?
Ha! You were going to tell me, then you lost it.
And then I lost it. There it is. I saw that first one on there, and I was like, I don't know if it deserves that win. First on the list is Arrival, which Fences, Hidden Figures, and Lion. That was a stiff-ass year.
Of the films from that list that I've seen, I agree.
Arrival, one of my favorite science fiction movies of all time. Fences, good movie. That the performances is what carries that movie. Hidden Figures, dopeness. Lion is the one I haven't seen, but by all accounts, it is the wildness. But anyways, yeah. What is your second pick, sir?
Well, my second one, I'm going to stick with Billy Boy.
Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah.
Sling Blade 25 anniversary.
I have no idea if that was an adapted one, but anyway, no, I'm gonna stick with old Billy Shakespeare, who
Willie Shakes.
For everybody who's like, this is premier entertainment, this is only for the aristocrats. I'd like for anyone who's ever heard that to know that William Shakespeare was a dirty fuck who wrote for the groundlings. His plays are nothing but dirty jokes throughout them, even the prestige ones. So his for some reason, I can't help but wonder if American English compared to United Kingdom English, the Queen's English, if we just went, oh, it sounds so fancy, it must be intelligent. No, it's fucking dirty as hell. And one of, if not my favorite play of his, and I find it heartbreaking. It's interesting you were talking about Kenneth Branagh, because Much Ado About Nothing. Much Ado About Nothing.
Never seen any version of that.
Here's the thing. Of the two versions that come to mind immediately, there's the Kenneth Branagh version and the Joss Whedon version. Joss Whedon version we actually have a poster of downstairs when they were giving it out at
the Much Ado About Nothing
Vizart Video.
Oh, okay.
What was that?
I said the Much Ado About Nothing premiere.
No.
Okay.
We are not that fancy. No. We saw it at the Manor, and when we got there were posters and other stuff and T-shirts, and we were like, "Oh, do you have?" And they went, "No, you were fucking late. Go to Vizart and see if they have any extra." And we did, and they did. So we got.
Shout out to Vizart.
Yeah. So Much Ado About Nothing. This is 93 Kenneth Branagh, which, by the way, the other one, the Joss Whedon one, fuck Whedon, but that cast is amazing and they do a phenomenal job with it. Do recommend that version, but this version to me was my entry point into Shakespeare.
The Whedon version was his anniversary gift to his wife, actually.
Oh, was it?
It's some of her. No, the Whedon version.
Yeah. It was, I'm taking time off between projects. We're on our anniversary. Let's invite our friends over and make a movie.
Yeah.
Flex.
The Branagh version has Denzel Washington, I think.
It has Emma Thompson, Robert Sean Leonard, Kate Beckinsale, Denzel Washington, a slew of other people. Hold on. Imelda Staunton. We were talking about her in the Pinch. Holy shit! Really?
So
She's in
all
Harry.
comes back.
She was Umbridge in Harry Potter. Holy
Dolores
fuck.
Umbridge.
Yeah, now I want to go back and rewatch this. This also has Keanu Reeves in, and forgive me, I think most people will agree, he is unfortunately miscast in this. He plays Denzel Washington's brother, John the Bastard, or Don Juan the Bastard, excuse me. But there's something about his delivery that it just doesn't work as well. But everybody else, so good, so fantastic. Kate Beckinsale devastates his hero. She absolutely devastates. Robert Sean Leonard similarly as Claudio. This has a wonderful cast. Everybody knows what they're doing. Keanu gives it his best shot. No, I mean, I like Keanu as an actor. I really, truly do. And you could see that he was trying to flex some muscles. But there was another one he did, I think it was My Own Private Idaho, or another film which was an adaptation of a Shakespearean play. That one was a little bit more natural for him because it was less with the dialogue and everything else and in the circumstance. There's a lot of films that Keanu's done that have been more than just looking good, being broody, whatever. He's done some good stuff. This one, unfortunately, was a good attempt of his. It just doesn't work for me, at least, as well. But the whole film, can't recommend it enough. And it was my gateway into Shakespeare. I saw this and I was like, I need to read this. And to this day, if I watch this version of Much Ado About Nothing, I have to skip over the part where Claudio, having been convinced that Hero has slept with other people ahead of their wedding, rips her a new one. And it is the way that Robert Sean Leonard destroys her and the way that Kate Beckinsale as Hero reacts. It's devastating. I still can't watch it.
I love it. My gateway was, as far as I know, was Othello.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Which still has one of my favorite Shakespeare villain, Iago. Not just a pair from Aladdin, by the way, people.
I was about to say, is it because he molts?
I'm more than ready for a brand new adaptation. They tried back, was it the late 90s, early 2000s?
Big whole bunch of modern Shakespeare adaptations, usually featuring what's her name?
Keira Knightley.
It was Mekhi Phifer as Othello.
And
Julia what's her name?
Stiles.
Julia Stiles, who did like 2 or 3 different modern adaptations. Taming of the Shrew was the one with Heath Ledger that I can think of.
All right. Much Ado About Nothing is what has been on my list forever. I think I actually might own the Whedon version somewhere and then just never watched it.
It's good. Nathan Fillion as Dogberry is pretty great.
There you go. Much Ado About Nothing. My second one here.
For the record, I am an ass.
Well, there you go. You heard it there first.
That's a deep cut for the people that understand that movie. Anyway,
my second pick is one I talked about months ago here on the Cinnamon as what I've seen recently, The Lion in Winter, based off of a 1966 Broadway play, The Lion in Winter. Pete O'Toole, Katharine Hepburn, Anthony Hopkins, Nigel Terry, my man, young Timothy Dalton, all up in the mix as well. It's about King Henry II, his 3 shitty sons, who are all trying to figure out which one will be king after he shuffles off.
just the heat you put on shitty was just well done.
Thank you. It's squabbling about who will take over once he is gone. He being Peter O'Toole is King Henry II. Also, he has a clear favorite. His wife, Katharine Hepburn, as Eleanor of Aquitaine. She has her own ideas of who should sit that throne. They're very estranged to the point where he has locked her away in a tower, and she just comes down for important events to be seen with the king, to keep up appearances, and then he boots her back up to the tower when it's all said and done. But when they're together, there's still real love there, and also just hateful venom spited towards each other. And it's some of the best, juiciest writing that I have ever heard, and the bickering and the arguing back and forth between the two of them. and you're just like, oh, I love the shitty arrangement the two of these have, and it's just moves within moves and wheels within wheels and secrets being revealed and all sorts of stuff happening, and it's just a deliciously fun. It's a combination of great directing, brilliant writing, and the actors understood that writing to a T, and they just went all in on it, chewing up the scenery left and right. It is a performance galore all throughout. You can tell everyone is just gleefully saying these words. Like these words were written for these actors in particular. The Line in the Winter is, it was a blind buy for me. Kino Lorber was having a sale, like a summer sale of some kind. And I was like, what is this, The Line in the Winter? I saw a trailer, and the trailer was just a scene. And I was like, oh, well, then sold automatically. And the rest of the movie holds up around that as well. So a good fun watch. And if you like 1960s movies, go for it. Featuring like some of the big actors of their day. And then people who would go on to become some of our big actors, Anthony Hopkins, Tim Dalton, Nigel Terry. I think that was what, Merlin in Excalibur. Yeah, it's worth the watch.
Right on. Well, my last one, I could not talk about play adaptations without bringing up this one. This one is not Shakespeare at all.
It's not gonna be Baz Luhrmann's Romeo plus Juliet.
It is not a film which I have not seen in many a decade.
Me too.
I remember being awesome, and John Leguizamo is mwah as Tybalt. So goddamn perfect. So,
I kind of don't want to go back and watch. Like I just want it to reside in my mind as this thing that I think is perfect and leave it there.
And I can't think of his name at the moment, the actor who played him, but who played Mercutio. Oh my God. When he gives
speech, Harold Pernew or something.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you. When he gives his speech, a pox on both your houses, it is so goddamn devastating.
Ugh! So good.
Anyway,
I flirted with putting it on my list.
You sexy. What are you doing?
You want to go on my list? Come on my list, girl.
Well, you walk. No, come on back. This is why. Can you tell I have no game? Can you tell I have zero? How did I get together with Crystal? She clubbed me over the head and dragged me.
All has been revealed on episode 59 of the Cine.
No, different reveals.
Different reveals.
Anyway, but this is a film that was another gateway thing for me, where I saw the movie and wanted to go find the play, and incidentally found it in the bomb shelter in our house. It was my aunt's copy, and I still have it. But this is the 1986 film Roxanne by
Steve Martin joint.
This is a Steve Martin joint. Daryl Hannah, Rick Rossovich, Shelley Duvall, and a whole lot more. This film, for those of you that are unaware, is it's a romantic comedy where Steve Martin is a fire chief, not a fire marshal, but a fire chief. And he runs the local station. He is smart, he is capable, but he has a long nose, which is characteristic of the character Cyrano de Bergerac. From Edmond Ronson's play. This was the defining trait, and due to his nose, he believed himself to be less than. In the play, he is one of the best soldiers in the land. He is, like Steve Martin's version, is incredibly capable. He is a leader. He is much beloved, but he is in love with someone that he does not think that he is worthy of. And because of that, he has trouble speaking with her. However, in this version of the film, one of the people that comes to work at his firehouse, dumb as a brick, great fucking fireman, and is handsome as hell, and gets the attention of Steve Martin's beloved, if you will, the woman he's attracted to, Daryl Hannah's Roxanne. Now, in the play, Cyrano and Roxanne are related, and the man who wants to woo Roxanne goes by the name of Christian, is friends with Cyrano, and Cyrano willingly does help him woo Roxanne, believing he can't do it. But this film is so hilarious and so funny. And the way that they adapt it, but modernize it, they keep these core elements, but they work them in ways that aren't odd or off-putting. And if you weren't aware that it was based on a play, you'd have no idea. And the play is fucking fantastic. And actually, I'm really looking forward to the new adaptation, Cyrano, which showed up in my inbox right before we started recording. And I was like, motherfucker!
You so-and-so, might you slide me the person who gave you that? Because I want this.
We will talk. See what we can do.
All right, cool.
Roxanne is by far, Cyrano is probably my favorite play. I am not the best soldier in the King's Army. I am not the smartest. I am not the fastest. But I understand that idea of not being able to see yourself the way that other people do. And that's Cyrano's problem. He thinks his problem is his nose, when it's in fact his self-confidence. So
right.
If you haven't seen Roxanne, highly recommend it. Absolutely holds up.
Agreed. My favorite rapper made a Cyrano de Bergerac reference on his last album, and I was like, I knew I liked this guy for a reason. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that thing with Cyrano. Now, I've never been a Steve Martin fan. That is the one thing that I will always bind me and my father, is the hatred of Steve Martin.
You hate him? Did he step on your shoes? Steal your car?
Smudged my Pumas back in the days, and I've never been able to get back at. No, I never found that dude funny. Always thought it was kind of goofy, kind of cheesy. That's why I've always avoided that version.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that Dinklage shit, and he seems like the perfect person to fill that role. That was great casting.
And apparently, it's not the first time. This version is adapted from a stage version his wife wrote, and he, I believe, played Cyrano in the staged version.
We're getting a little fences action then. So he's already comfortable with the character. That's what's up. It's going to be great. My last one is based on a play bought unproduced by Warner's called Everybody Comes to Rick's. And the Rick in question is, of course, the dopest Rick in all the land, a man named Rick Blaine. That's right. Casablanca is based off of a stage play called Everybody Comes to Rick's. Listen, I think Casablanca is a top 10, maybe 5 movie. Hard stop all time. It is my second favorite. I almost said Jimmy Stewart. My second favorite Humphrey Bogart movie, behind Maltese Falcon. It is brilliant. I think it's Tony Curtis that directs that movie. Well directed, man. Humphrey is on top of his game. Is it Ingmar Bergman who's in that movie with him?
I will admit,
Ingrid. I'm not Ingmar. Ingmar Bergman is the director. Ingrid Bergman in there, as well as Claude Rains and the always creepy Peter Lorre as well, and the Sidney Greenstreet, my favorite actor of all time, thanks to this movie, because he looks like he's just there to collect the check and have a blast. And I love it every time he's on screen. Every time I see Sidney Greenstreet, I'm like, yes, give me more Sidney Greenstreet. I feel like I don't need to say much. It's Casablanca, one of the greatest movies of all time. You said you haven't seen it, sir. Then I challenge you.
To what? I'm sorry. I can't hear you.
Duel. It's not even watching the movie. It's just a duel. But yeah, it's man, it's Casablanca. Every corner of this movie has been unearthed, every stone unturned by everyone who's ever wanted to talk about this movie, to the point where people saying it's one of the best now is almost cliche, but it's true. And I think that's the reason it lost in the first round of the Paprika brackets, because everyone's so tired of hearing about how great this movie is. Whatever it was up against, it might have been up against Rear Window, I think. And I was not mad that it lost, because Rear Window was pretty damn dope. But yeah, it's Casablanca for me. Now, is this a circumstance of you just never having got around to it, or just not interested?
Never got around to it.
Okay, right on.
Never got around to it. It's there are some films that I have not seen they've been talked up so much that I just never watch them.
Does this fall in that category for you?
No, it does not. It's just one of the many that are on my list of shame that I just haven't had the opportunity or taken the time to watch.
Ah.
So there are movies that I've gotten, for instance, from Netflix, where it's like, ooh, I want to see this, and I get the disc, and then life happens, and I've had a disc for 6 weeks that I've never watched, and I just send it back.
Mm-hmm.
That happened the first time I tried to watch Only Lovers Left Alive,
Yeah.
and I had to get it a second time, and finally watched it. But I'll get to it eventually, and maybe in January when we start up challenges again, I will do that.
There you go. There you go. Speaking of
Yeah.
challenges, it is challenge time, sir.
It is.
Yeah.
Would you like to go first, since you are already talking about play adaptations and yours is a play adaptation?
Yeah, that works. I got Titus, man. Like I said, from my Julie Taymor, Anthony Hopkins, all up in that joint. Just Lang, Alan Cumming, who's just Alan Cumming in everything he does. And I mean that with all love and respect, man.
Yes.
Every time he shows up, I'm like, give me more Alan Cumming in movies. Harry Lennox, man, Angus McFadden of Braveheart fame.
Braveheart.
Yeah, I was like, what's that one epic movie that everybody knows? It has my favorite thing. It's got Matthew Rhys and Jonathan Rhys Meyers, the two people I always get confused. Are both in this movie as brothers. The first like 30 minutes, I was like, fucking Doug played me again for this whack movie. And then something happens, and I was like, yo, this shit's dope. I was all in. Like, once stuff really starts getting going, because this movie is long as shit.
Yes.
But once things really start getting going, and they're like, oh, okay. Because it's for those of you who haven't watched Titus or are unfamiliar with Titus Andronicus, the Shakespeare joint. It's about the downfall of a Roman general who's beloved by Rome, and just kind of how that downfall happened, right? The way that she chooses to frame it is a little bit interesting, wherein it's a kid from a modern day time, like the 50s ish.
Yeah, I think it's either World War I or World War II.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. 40s, 50s then. Well, I guess no, World War One's 1914.
Yeah.
So World War II then.
World War II.
Modern day-ish, who then gets, without any real explanation, drugged back into this Roman legionnaire time. And you kind of are seeing the film, not quite through his eyes, but kind of taking the journey along what happens. And then this reveal, I think, later on down the movie, that he is a descendant of Titus Andronicus. Like great or grandson or something like that.
Or at least a pretty good one.
Or at least one of those decent grandsons.
Sorry.
And yeah, it's his strict rigidity and allegiance to Rome kind of was his downfall, and his unwillingness to think outside of that or change with the times, as it were. And just how the whole thing plays out it's good. It's great, man. Like I said, that first 30, man, was kind of rough, but when it finds its footing, it's solid gold from there on out, man. It's a joint definitely worth watching. I'm not on HBO Max anymore, unfortunately, but it is on the Criterion streaming joint. I would highly recommend it to anyone. That was a dope movie.
I would like to add, and I say this with not a hint of silliness or joking, severe trigger warning for anyone that
loves pie.
God damn it. I was trying to be sincere.
Oh, sorry.
But a trigger warning for sexual assault, murder, and a bunch of other things.
You give a trigger warning for murder. You know how often we talk about movies of murder in them?
Yeah, but in this case, it's not like murder. It's murder. Like it's one of my favorite moments comes in at the end of the movie in the little freeze frame-ish thing that's done. So yeah.
There's something else I was going to bring up with this,
but there are some moments that are incredibly fucked up, and yet the way that Julie had the production design and the costuming and everything else make it work really well.
Definitely. If you had problems with that, I think it was 2014, 2015 Macbeth, because they stay in the speech style and cadence that the play was written, it is the same for Titus. So if that's not quite a reality, it's not contemporary speech. Although they bleed a lot of contemporary throughout that. Like it starts with, Roman legionary, but by the end, his brother's in a suit and suspenders. And you're like, what? It happens so gradually. Like, wait, how long has he been? Where did this? It's very, very subtle. There's a lot of subtlety happening in the background. Also, Harry Lennox is the fucking animal in this movie, and I love it.
Yeah, you posted a photo, and I'm sitting there going, I don't remember this line. Do I need to rewatch this movie? And then also I went, that's Harry Lennox. Holy shit. I need to rewatch this movie.
Right. Yeah. Harry Lennox is man, he is. That's something that we don't get enough of. They talk about the MCU used to have a villain problem. They've kind of righted that ship and given us a couple of authentic classic villains. They don't really have one that's just gleeful, just great and glad to be a villain. And that's kind of Harry Lennox here, man. He's just so happy to be doing the evil things. Proudly confesses to his evilness, and he was like, "My only regret is they get to do more evil shit before you guys caught up with me." So yeah, definitely worth the watch. I gave you
Throne of Blood,
Kurosawa, which I will actually still give you the copy that I have for you.
Oh, thank you. I would. I forgot about that when we talked.
Add to the collection, sir.
I
actually bought two.
Potentially gonna see you this week, so I'll bring you a bag of stuff. You bring me movie. It'll be great.
Bag of stuff. I remember that movie came out last year.
No, not a movie. It's an actual bag of stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, 1957, Akira Kurosawa, Throne of Blood. It's an adaptation of Macbeth. We've been talking about a lot of Shakespeare. I had obviously not seen this one before, but I knew a lot about it. One, because of Toshiro Mifune just being legendary within this just genre. But there's also the scene at the end with the siege. And if I remember correctly, I meant to research this since I watched it on Saturday. And just things being what they are, I forgot. Do you know about this? Kurosawa actually had like pro archers firing at him, right? So those are real reactions.
I heard that on somebody talking about it on the YouTube channel a couple months back that look, Kurosawa went all in on his authenticity.
Now, I haven't read Macbeth since probably undergrad. And I was talking about Shakespeare in this and what I wanted to do. I actually have a big book of all of Shakespeare's plays in one, which had been my mom's in undergrad, and she passed it down to me.
Nice.
Which helped save me a bunch of money when I had to read stuff in my classes because I already had all the plays. Became a problem when my teacher was like, turn to page such and such. But couldn't take a lot of notes in that book. I'd feel a little shitty. But so I haven't read this in a long time, but in the other interpretations that I've seen, I never realized, and maybe that was just this version, how much Lady Macbeth was just like, are you an idiot? You're going to do this thing. You're going to fucking murder him. Here's how you're like, I've seen this play and I don't even remember. I always felt like Macbeth, he was resistant to it at first, but then he owned it. Not just because she was like, but it was more like, you should be doing these things, sort of whispering. Whereas this version of Lady Macbeth was, I didn't marry a sucker. Just fucking, here's what you're going to do. Go murder him.
Yeah. Like, I have not read Macbeth. I haven't read a whole lot of Shakespeare. But the 2015 one, that Cotillard, Fassbender joint, which lends itself to my don't trust Marion Cotillard in anything she's in theory. Between that and Inception and Dark Knight Rises. She's very subtle. Like, she suggests it, whispers in the ears, but she's very rarely blatant about it. This was blatant. And I'm feeling like if you got someone of the caliber of Frances McDormand, they're going to go all in on the subtlety of the new one that comes out.
especially after watching this, I'm very curious about the tragedy of Macbeth. I talk about, film critic problems. I was super sad. My package of A24 movies showed up and it
Didn't have
wasn't in
Macbeth.
there
Yeah, I thought about that too.
because this is very inside baseball. But Daryl will know what I'm talking about. A24 sent, depending on which organization you're in, sent a box with various A24 stuff in it. So, for example, I got a bottle of mead for the Green Knight, which Daryl will be enjoying at some point because I can't
Wait
get
a
something for the
minute.
Green
I
Knight.
just got discs. I didn't get any fucking mead.
That's why I offered you my mead.
Oh, thank you, sir.
And
goddamn
there's
Critics'
Green
Choice.
Knight. There's a little enamel pin of the Green Knight's face, which you have said that you want. I also have something extra that I'm sneaking in that I saw and immediately thought of you. I didn't even offer it. I'm just giving it to you.
Okay.
And you're going to say thank you. And I know you'll say thank you. But they sent a little, the icon for the tragedy of Macbeth. It's like half a knife with a face on it. And I was like, cool. So I've got, here. It won't mean anything to anybody else out as I stab myself with it.
Oh, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah,
that's what's on the posters.
Exactly. But they did not include
the actual tragedy of Macbeth, which is the real
tragedy.
Tragedy of this whole thing, is we didn't get the Macbeth screen.
But to be clear, for you, Daryl, what I'm talking about with this stuff, this was like a box that came last week when we recorded the pinch, and I was, no, I sent you a photo. Hey, are you interested? That had arrived.
Oh, right on.
So think of it like what some of the swag stuff that Netflix has sent, but this was
A24.
that.
All right.
But no, A24 had sent that stuff, and I was like, where's the fucking movie? Does this mean we're getting a movie? Where's the movie? Give me the movie. Because I very much agree. I would like to see that. Denzel Washington, Frances McDormand, Macbeth, Lady Macbeth.
They released like a 20-second little TV spot I saw on YouTube the other day, and I was just like, oh, this is going to be so good. Can't wait. So you guys, is this your only Macbeth adaptation you've seen, or are there other Macbeths? I'm talking about throwing a blunt. Are there any other Macbeth adaptations you've seen?
None that come to mind. I mean, again, I've seen it as a play. Yeah. So that's technically an adaptation, but never anything where Throne of Blood was literally, we're going to change the time period and location.
Right.
So Tragedy of Macbeth, I think, is going to be a little bit more traditional, just with a variety of actors, from what I understand. I think it's going to be more like a stage production that's been caught on camera. So a little less of the Julie Taymor. It'll be more minimal than that, but similar in style in dictation and presentation. Whereas Throne of Blood is just, I'm going to throw you the fuck in there. Like, I loved that the Weird Sisters was represented by this one woman. I think it was a woman.
Yeah.
They called her a hag. But it's for me, I don't know the pronouns. But the opening for this version I found to be a little bit slow, but once things started going, it was riveting to really watch. And I was like, I know where this is going. I know what? Like, it was really surprising and gripping. So thank you very much for having an extra copy so that I can check out those bonus features. So thank you. Because HBO Max had none. They had
no problem. Yeah. It's Criterion, so you know you're going to get some good bonus features out of that bad boy too. Some commentary, all sorts of good stuff on there. But yeah, and that's it, man. You got anything else before you wrap this bad boy up?
No, I'll tell you, I think I can say as much as I've got a review coming, depending on when this drops. So mid December, I'll have a review up for Don't Look Up and National Champions, a football movie that's coming out in December, and got tons of other really interesting stuff on deck. Friend of the show, Thomas Manning, you know him. You hung out with him last night. Did he tell you he was talking to Alex Wolff today?
No, he neglected to let us know that, and I saw that on the old Twitters there earlier.
Oh, did he post about it? Sweet.
Yeah, apparently Alex Wolff said that he loves Thomas's accent.
Yes. Okay, cool. I didn't know how it went, but he supposedly was talking to him, and that interview will be coming to Elements of Madness pretty soon. So Thomas has been doing some awesome stuff. He's getting ready to graduate. The boy is about to become a man.
The boy is going to become a man now. Get all that school shit out of the way. You be a full-fledged member of the Elements of Madness and just pump out reviews.
No, man's got his own website, the Rundown on Movies.
The Rundown.
Go run that shit. He needs to fly the nest. He needs to graduate from wings. All of it.
Yeah,
go do your own shit.
I like it. Yeah, I at the time of this, when do we say this is going up? Next week?
We didn't. I don't know.
So the Belfast review will be up at this point. I might have one or two other reviews coming down the pike as well. Maybe that Ghostbusters review is up as well.
Still need to see that.
And Encounter, which is it's the Riz Ahmed joint.
Yeah, I'm curious what you have to say about that one.
Have you seen it?
Yes, I have.
I have not gotten any sort of screen or whatever, so I'll be going to the theaters for that bit of business. I'm looking forward to it. It is on my list of things to review, and I'm looking forward to it very much.
It was sent to me specifically for FYC, and because there was a Q&A, and I couldn't watch it before the Q&A. So,
you win some, you lose some. But that's it.
I couldn't ask a single Q.
No Qs, no A's to be had for those Qs. We'll be back here. The next episode of Cinnamon will be here in a couple of weeks with our favorite Holy Day movies.
Wait, Holy Day or Holiday? Because it's very, very different.
You're not wrong there. Favorite holiday movies. I'm very interested to see what you have for holiday movies, and hopefully you are.
I've already picked them out. I
have 3 picked out. I'm waiting to see if those 3 stick, or if there's anything else that's like, oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh wait, I forget. Are we doing challenges for this one?
Yeah.
Or are we skipping it?
Well, I don't think it's a regular episode, right? So we'll have challenges. Oh, Doug's got some evil shit on, which means I'm about to get something that was 30% on Rotten Tomatoes coming my way.
Actually, it's I still believe fresh.
Ooh.
From the critics. From the critics. I'll go check.
I'll look forward to it.
We will talk about this momentarily.
We'll talk about this momentarily. And for all of you out there, man, that's it for this episode of Cinnamon, episode 59. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Oh, by the way, man, all you patrons, the patch is up from November. So you're gonna check that out. Make sure you go ahead and check that out. And patreon.com/popreviews if you'd like to throw down a little chunk of something and check out those behind the paywall episodes that me and Douglas do. The December one will be an interesting one, talking about our writing process when it comes to reviewing movies. So if you're at all interested, go ahead and drop some coin on it, man. That's it for this.
So much porn.
Oh, just on loop, on loop in the background.
It's like the beach. I just show up and it's there. I don't know where it is. I don't know what part is. I'm so confused.
No, but I slide right in.
Shit, that's supposed to be for the episode 69. I gotta write this stuff down.
We'll be part of my writing process here in 2 weeks, man, with another episode for you. Until then, take it easy. Be safe out there. Those roads getting slick, and have a good one.
Happy holidays.